So, who is reciting? Whenever you're ready.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Text 1, Lord Krishna's entrance to Dwarka. Suta Uvacha Anartam Swa Uparajya Savruddha Janpadasvakan Dadmodharavaram Tesham Vishadam Samayanniva.
Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwarka, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants.
Text 2. Sa uchchikashe dhavalo daro prayukramasya dharshonashonima dadmayamanam karakajya sampute yathabjakhande kalhansa utsvanaha.
The white and fat bold conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers.
Text 3. Tamapshrutya ninandam Jagad Bhaya Bhayavaham Pratyuntayu Praja Sarva Bhrata Darshana Lalasaha.
The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long-desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees.
Text 4 and 5. Tatropanita balayo ravedipam nivradritaha atma rama purnikamam nijalabhena nityada priti utfula mukham prochur harsha gadgadaya gira pitaram sarvasuhritam avitaram
The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who, by his own potency, incessantly supplies others. These presentations were like the offering of a lamp to the sun. Yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards welcome their guardian and father.
Text 6. Natah smatena sadangri pankajam virincha varincha surendra vanditam parayanam chema ichchatam param nayatra kala prabhavet param prabhu.
The citizens said, O Lord, you are worshipped by all demigods like Brahma, the four sanas, and even the King of Heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord, and inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you.
Text 7. Bhavayana swam bhavavishvabhavan Tvameva mata suhritpati pitaha Tvasut Tvam Satguruna Paramam Cha Daivatam Yasya Kritino Babhuvima.
O Creator of the universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher, Lord, Father, Spiritual Master, and worshipable Deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy.
Text 8. Aho sanatha bhavatasmayadvayam Travishtyapanamapi duradarshanam Premasmitasnigdhanirekshananam Pashyema rupam tava sarvasabhagam.
Oh, it is our good luck that we have come again today under your protection by your presence, for your lordship rarely visits even the denizens of heaven. Now it is possible for us to look into your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form, full of all auspiciousness.
Text 9. Yarahi ambuja chap sasar bho bhavan Kuru na madhu na vada suhridrishaya Tatrabdya koti pratimam chano bhave Ravi vinaksha Rauni vinastavachuta.
O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapura to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like millions of years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless as if bereft of sun.
Text 10. Katham vayam nath chiroshite tvai prasanna drushtya khilita pashushanam Jive mate sundara hase shobhitam apasyamana vadanam manoharam Iti chodirita vacha prajana bhakta vassalaha shurvanugraha drishtya vitanvan pravishat puram.
O Master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose smiles vanquish all our sufferings. How can we exist without your presence?
Text
Upon,
10.
hear-
Oh, sorry.
upon hearing their speeches, the Lord, who is very kind to the citizens and the devotees, entered the city of Dwarka and acknowledged all their greetings by casting his transcendental glances over them.
Text 11. Madhu Boj Darshana Harha Kukurandha Kavishnibihi Atma Tulya Bale Guptam Nagar Bhogavatim Iva.
As Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwarka protected by the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, Madhu, Dasartha, Arha, Kukura, Andhaka, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna.
Sarvartu Text 12. Sarvartu Sarva Vibhava Punya Vrikshalata Shamahe उद्यानोपवनारामे व्रत पद्माकराश्रियम्.
The city of Dwarkapuri was filled with the opulences of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, and reservoirs of water breeding lotus flowers all over.
Text 13. गोपुरद्वारमार्गेषु कृतकौतुकतोरणां पताकाग्रैरन्तप्रतिहतातपाम्.
The city gateway, the household doors, and festooned arches along the roads were all nicely decorated with festive signs like plantain trees and mango leaves, all to welcome the Lord. Flags, garlands, and painted signs and slogans all combined to shade the sunshine.
Text 14. सम्मार्जितमहामार्ग रथ्यापणकचत्वरां सिक्तां गन्धजलैर्लुप्तां फलपुष्पाक्षता कुरहे.
The highways, subways, lanes, markets, and public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord, fruits, flowers, and unbroken seeds were strewn everywhere.
Text 15. द्वारि द्वारि ग्रहणं च दध्य क्षतफले फलेषुभिः अलङ्कृता पुनः कुम्भैर्बलिभिर्धूपदीपकैः.
In each and every door of the residential houses, auspicious things like curd, unbroken fruits, sugar cane, and full water pots with articles for worship, incense, and candles were all displayed.
Text 16 and 17. Nishamya प्रेष्ठं मायान्तं वसुदेवो महामनः अक्रूरश्चोग्रसेनश्च साम्बो जाम्बवती सुतः. प्रद्युम्नश्च चारुदेशनश्च oh sorry, I think I got confused. I'll say read again. Nishamya preshtham avyaktam Vasudevo mahamanaha akuraschograsenascha Ramaschadbhuta vikramaha Pradyumna Charudeshnascha Sambo Jambavati Sutaha Praharshavegoscha Chashita Shayana Bhojanaha.
On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwarka Dham, magnanimous Vasudeva, Akrura, Ugrasena, Balaram, the superhumanly powerful Pradyumna, Charudeshna, and Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abandoned resting, sitting, and dining.
Text 18. Varnendriya Puruskritya Brahmane Sumangal hai Shankhaturya Ninadena Brahma Sogheshana Chadritaha Pratyujam Nuratherhasta Pranayagat Sadvasaha.
They hastened toward the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune. Conch shells and bugles were sounded, and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection.
Text 19. Varmukshascha satso yainestajdarshano sukaha lasat kundala nirbhata kapola vadanashriyaha.
At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads.
Text 20. Natanataka Gandharva Suta Magata Vandinaha Gayanti Chotama Shloka Charitanya Adbhutani Cha.
Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord. Thus they proceeded on and on.
Text 21. Bhagavanstatra bandhunam Puranam anuvartinam yatha vidyu vasangamya sarvesham manamadade.
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him.
Text 22. Prahavabhivadanashlesha karasaspa smiti chanahe ashvasya chashvavapakebhyo vareshchandhi vate vibhu.
The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances, and awarding benedictions even to the lowest in rank.
Text 23. Swayam cha guru bhir vipre sadare stavirerapi ashir Ashirbhiryujyamanurnai Vandibhischavitaspuram.
Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praised the glories of the Lord.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Sriji, Kishori Mataji, that was very, very nice. I'm sure you probably do very nice stories for your grandchildren. You got a nice way to sort of recite. That's so nice. And thank you, Maria. I really enjoyed your pronunciation. You really tried hard, and you did well with the you know the marks and A's and R and all that. So it's very, very nice. Thank you so much. These, you know, in particular, this particular chapter, verses are not so easy actually. Not lots of long words. So yeah, it needs a lot of practice. But you did really well. Thank you. So okay, today we're starting this chapter first. So all I'm going to do is just going to start just reciting the first 3 verses which we're going to cover today, and then we will go to our presentation. So Text 1. We're running out of time. Prem Kumari Mataji has already done the Sanskrit, so we'll just go to the English. We just go word to word and then English, so we save some time. So this is text 1, chapter 11, Canto 1, chapter 11, text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. For the first verse, these synonyms of this. Sutta Uvacha, Sutta Goswami said, Anartan, the country known as Anartan, Dwarka, Sa he Upavrajya, reaching the border of Sridhan, most prosperous, Janapadan, city, Swakan, his own, Dadmo, sounded, Daravaram, the auspicious Kongsha, Partijanya, Pesham of them, Ishadam, rejected, Samyam, pacifying, Eva, seemingly. Translation. So the Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwaraka, the Lord sounded his auspicious Kongsha, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Purport. So it's a short one. Somebody can just unmute and read the purport, please.
May I?
Yes, please.
Hare
Yes.
Krishna. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwarka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra, and thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia due to separation. When the Lord descends on the earth, his eternal excuse me, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment, because of intense affection for the Lord. Thus the inhabitants of the city of Dwarka were in a mood of dejection and expected the arrival of the Lord at any moment. So the heralding sound of the auspicious conch shell was very encouraging, and apparently the sound pacified the dejection. They were still more aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in the befitting manner. These are the signs of spontaneous love of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir. Okay. The next one. Next two. Synonyms are sa, that, Uchkashe, became brilliant, Dhavala Udara, white and fat bald, Dara, Konsha, Api, although it is so. Api means although it is so. Uru Kamasya, of the great adventurer. Adara Shona, by the transcendental quality of his lips. Shonima, reddened. Dadma Amana, being sounded. Kara Kanja Sampute, being caught by the grip of the lotus hand, Yatha, as it is. Abja Kande, by the stems of lotus flowers. Kala Hamsa, ducking swan. Utspana, loudly sounding. Translation, the white and fat bald conch shell being gripped by the hand of the Lord, of Lord Krishna, and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers. The purport again, somebody else can unmute and
Can I just?
yes,
Hare
please.
Krishna.
Mataji.
The redness of the white conch shell due to the lip touch of the Lord is a symbol of spiritual significance. The Lord is all spirit, and matter is ignorance of the spiritual existence. Factually, there is nothing like matter in spiritual enlightenment. And this spiritual enlightenment takes place at once by the contact of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. The Lord is present in every particle of our existence, and He can manifest His presence in anyone. By ardent love and devotional service to the Lord, or in other words, by spiritual contact with the Lord, everything becomes spiritually reddened like the conch shell in the grip of the Lord. And the Paramhansa, or the supremely intelligent person, plays the part of the ducking swan in the portal of spiritual bliss, eternally decorated by the lotus flower of the Lord's feet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna Mataji. The last one for today. Some that Upashrutya, having overheard, Ninadam sound, Jagat Bhaya, the fear of material existence, Bhaya Avaham, the threatening principle, Prati, towards, Udyahu, Udyayu, rapidly proceeded, Praja, the citizens, Sarva, all, Ratra, the protector, Darshana, audience, Lalasa, having so desired. The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is a protector of all devotees. Again, a slightly longer purport, so somebody can read this, please.
Please, may I read, Prabhuji?
Oh, yes, please.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
As already explained, the citizens of Dwaraka who lived at the time of Lord Krishna's presence, there were all liberated souls who descended there along with the Lord as entourage. They were all very anxious to have an audience with the Lord, although because of spiritual contacts, they were never separated from the Lord. Just as the gopis at Vrindavan used to think of Krishna while he was away from the village for cowarding engagements, the citizens of Dwaraka were all immersed in thought of the Lord while he was away from Dwaraka to attend the battle of the Kurukshetra. Some distinguished fiction writer in Bengal concluded that the Krishna of Vrindavan, that the Mathura and that of Dwaraka were different personalities. Historically, there is no truth in this conclusion. The Krishna of Kurukshetra and the Krishna of Dwarka are one and the same personality. Please scroll up, please.
Can you see it now?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. The citizens of Dwarka were thus in a state of melancholy due to the Lord's absence from the transcendental city, as much as we are put in the state of melancholy at night because of the absence of the sun. The sound heralded by Lord Krishna was something like the heralding of the sunrise in the morning. So all the citizens of Dwarka awoke from a state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna, and they all hastened towards him just to have an audience. The devotees of the Lord know no one as protector. The sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. Out of the four problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem, the fear problem gives us more trouble than others. We are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusionary energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. Yet all fear is vanished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord, represented by his holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please call up Prabhuji.
Sorry,
Thank you.
okay.
We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problems of material existence. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Arpita. That was very, very nice, very fluent, beautifully read. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadatikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine State Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Pashati Srivarine Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine Dikta Cheta Supraneta Vagni Nam Jara Saputam Prabhupada Katapana Nomi Bhakti Charu Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, right, so we're going to quickly dive into this. This is just the beginning, so we won't do the review. What we can do is perhaps just look at yeah. So before we go into today's verses, just a quick recap of where we are now. So at the end of chapter 10, we read about or we heard about Krishna departing Hastinapur. Yudhishthira Maharaj had arranged, I think it's 4 divisions of army to defend him, as if Krishna needed defending. But that was just his bhava to protect, Krishna. So, the Pandavas, because they were so sad to see him go, they followed him for a long distance, and in the end, Lord Krishna persuaded them to go back towards Dwarka, towards Hastinapur rather. So on the way, he apparently passed through many provinces, and each place he went to, he stayed overnight, and they honored him and worshipped him very opulently. So this chapter now begins with his arrival, and in this chapter, because we are at the beginning, we can just do a quick sort of overview. Very, very simple chapter. This one, in that sense, Dwarka, Vasi. So we already see how we read bits or pieces of how they will be welcoming him so nicely. How nicely Dwarka was decorated by the residents, and how Lord Krishna reciprocates with all the residents, in different races, in different relationships. So it's a nice chapter like that. We've already read the translations, so we'll skip that. But today I was quite late. We've actually had a bereavement in the family. My brother-in-law suddenly left his body last Friday, very unexpectedly. So we're having prayers every evening at my sister's place. But today there was nobody else who could do the class, so then I came back early. So excuse me if there's something lacking. I'll just very quickly put this together. So what's the name of Krishna's concert? It was in one of the verses. Anybody?
Panchajanya. Panchajanya.
Yeah, it's actually Panchajanya. We actually normally, we always say Panchajanya, but it's Panchajanya. If you see the real spelling, it'll be in this. It's mentioned in the very first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 6:15, when the armies are being described. This is when the conchas are sounded. So Pancha, see Pancha, P-A. Panchajanya Vishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Onram Dadmau Maha Shankam Bhima Karma Vikodara. Lord Krishna blew his concha called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean task, blew his terrific concha called Poundara. So these are how these conchas have been described.
Prabhu, what does Panchajanya means? Sorry,
so yes,
I actually don't know. We just keep on saying, but I don't know the actual meaning or story about it.
Yeah, so we're going to speak. That's going to be my question in a minute.
Okay,
but
thank you.
Before we get to that question, we can just make anybody know. So we can see here Krishna, Arjun, and Bhima. Their conchas have been described. Anybody know Yudhishthir's conch shell?
Mani Pushpaka.
No, that's not his.
No?
Yeah, keep that in the bank. That answer will come next. But Yudhishthir's was Ananta Vijaya.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And then Nakula and Sahadev. So
That
Nakula, Nakula had, so what you answered was Sahadev. Sahadev was Mani Pushpaka. And Nakula had something else. What was his name? His Shankar? Sughosha. So these are all mentioned. In fact, in the text 16, these are all mentioned here. So then my question to you was, how did Lord Krishna obtain this Panchajanya function? So this will answer your question, Krishnavani Mataji. Anybody know the story?
He was a demon, I think, in the sea. That's it. But I don't remember the whole story. Is that right, Prabhu?
You got that part right. Anybody else know the story?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is it that, the Sandipani Muni's son, Krishna was saving the son?
Perfect.
So he died, and then Krishna said, I'll bring your son back.
That's it. Exactly right. So Pushti Mataji is exactly right. So at the end of their education for 64 days, when they learned 64 arts, when they were leaving, they offered Dakshina. And then Sandipani Muni consulted with his wife, and they decided, look, these are very powerful boys. So let's ask for something very unusual. And they had lost their son in the sea some years ago, I guess. But they said, maybe you can try and get him back for us. So Krishna straightway goes to the sea, and Varuna says, no, I haven't got them, but Panchajanya, who's a demon, he's the one who's got them. So Krishna goes, finds Panchajanya. Apparently it was a huge demon with a huge shell. But somehow, obviously, you can see Krishna's holding the conch shell is quite small. But yeah, that's all, I suppose. Krishna can make it small if he wants to. So Krishna killed the demon, but inside his belly there was nothing. He couldn't find the son. Then Krishna apparently goes to Yamaraj, and actually the son was there, and Yamaraj gives him back. So that Krishna returns the son to his teacher as Dakshina. So then he takes that shell of Panchajanya. That's how he got that shell. So that's the answer to Krishnavani Mataji. So now the question would arise.
Prabhu, he kills the demon, and that's why he gets the shell, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. After he killed the demon, he kept the shell. But then he had to go to Yamaraj to find the boy. Yeah. So he killed the demon and then kept the shell. That he used as his shell. Yeah. The Panchajanya. So now here's another question, interesting question that would come to people's mind, right? So Krishna, so do we think that Krishna didn't have a conch shell till then?
Krishna always have a conch shell in his hand, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
the Vishnu always has it, right?
Vishnu has, Krishna has. So then here it is only explained that he gets it at this time. Before this, he's had lots of fights and everything. And did he not have a conch shell? So anyway, I didn't have an answer, frankly, and I was wondering. So I did some Googling this evening rather, and I found a nice clip from our dear Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu. So let's see. I hope the sound plays. Let's see. Somebody just say, oh.
Hare Krishna.
Is the sound working?
Yes, it's working.
Okay, thank you.
Question: if Krishna got the conch shell Panchajanya by killing the demon of that name, does that mean that he did not have the conch shell before that? Answer: as a eternal associate of the Lord in the spiritual world, the conch shell is always present with Krishna. Now when he descends in this world, at that time he and his paraphernalia, now his paraphernalia is also person quite often. So that paraphernalia may meet him at a particular time. So for example, the Goswamis describe the first meeting between Krishna and Radharani. So now what does that mean? That means did Krishna not meet Radharani before that? Yes, not in this manifest pastime in this world, but they are eternal associates. So similarly, Krishna did not have the conch shell while he was in Vrindavan. So Krishna actually does not practically use any weapons while he is in Vrindavan. He just, his pastimes are bala kridana karamiva, as Uddhava says. It's just playful pastimes of a child, and he just uses a hand or just a blow or just increasing his weight. Some playful way he delivers and destroys and delivers the demons. But his paraphernalia, such as the conch shell and other things, he acquired gradually over a period of time through various pastimes. So these pastimes are just to enhance and enrich the variety and the excitement in the Lord's in the Lord's manifested Leela over here. So the conch shell is his eternal paraphernalia, but it meets with him at a particular time. He acquires it at a particular time in his manifested pastime, just as Krishna and Arjuna are eternal associates, but Arjuna and Krishna meet for the first time after Draupadi Swayamvar, and that time Krishna introduces himself. I am Krishna, and they know each other. Arjuna knows about Krishna, Krishna knows, but this is the first time they meet. So like that, in the manifest pastime, there are times when the paraphernalia also enters the Lord's pastimes for the first time. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So quite nicely explained, right? That is, in one sense, they're always there, but they manifest at a particular time when Krishna needs them. So the Panchajanya, and although in this the shell itself, it is like a shell of a demon, but as Prabhuji explained, that most of these things, even the flute, as we know, the flute is a personality. So in the spiritual world, all these things are personalities, and they have come down to take part in Krishna's Leela. So you can imagine that Panchajanya was also there in the spiritual world, and it came as a shell to serve Krishna's purpose. So yeah, this is like quite an esoteric answer. So then the purport, Prabhupada says, when the Lord descends to earth, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. So we just saw that even the paraphernalia is like that. But in terms of the living beings, there are three types of living beings, right? And first one is Nitya Baddha. As we know, Nitya Baddha means people, actually, the literal meaning of Nitya Baddha is eternally bound. Eternally bound, which means which refers to the conditioned souls. But if you look at the term eternally bound, it could be quite depressing, because that means we are eternally bound, we will never come out. So in reality, that word eternity, Nitya, used is here. The use is here like for a very long time, because we've been here, we don't know how long, millions of lifetimes perhaps. So it's almost like eternity. However, it's not like eternally as in a final situation, because we will all eventually, with the help of devotees and mercy of the Lord, go back. But so that's one category, Nitya Baddha, which means conditioned souls. Does anybody know the second two?
Nitya Siddha,
Yeah, Nitya Siddha. What's the meaning of that?
eternally liberated.
Exactly, eternally liberated. So these are Nitya Siddha. Thank you, Palika Mataji. So, and then there's a third category, which is in between.
I know the Sanskrit.
Nitya Mukta, Prabhu?
Nitya Mukta is almost
It's
like
the same as Nitya Siddha.
That's the same.
Yeah. Somebody said you don't know Sanskrit. Was it Palika Mataji? You said don't know Sanskrit. Would you know the English?
No, sorry.
No. Okay. So this is interesting. This is more relevant to us, the last one. It's called Sadhana Siddha. And this is how we all will hopefully make it back. Sadhana Siddha is people, these are the Nitya Baddhas, conditioned souls, who because of the mercy of the Lord, get to do sadhana. So by devotional service, eventually they become siddha. So when we reach when we reach perfection of devotional service, we are then sadhana siddha. That means that we have earned our right to go back, right?
Thank you.
So at that point, what happens apparently is that when we are eligible to return, or when we have become sadhana siddhas, it's explained that we don't go directly back to the spiritual world. What Krishna arranges is that he arranges us to go to some place in the universe where his pastimes are taking place, and we will join his pastimes there. So in any lila of Krishna, there are with Krishna himself and his direct associates, Radharani, his mother and father, like that. Then here are other personalities who come to assist his pastimes, even the demons and his friends and all that, cowherd boys like that. And then there is, so those are the Nitya Siddhas. And the third category that join them from down here going up there is the sadhana siddhas. There's a combination of those three. So after playing with Krishna and helping him in his pastimes, then they finally go back to the spiritual world, and then they are Nitya Siddhas. And they may or may not in future come back again to assist Krishna in his pastimes. So in the second chapter, second text rather, Krishna is saying, this is a piece of the part of what I've taken. By ardent love and devotional service to the Lord, or in other words, by spiritual contact with the Lord, everything becomes spiritually reddened, like the conch shell in the grip of the Lord. And the Paramhamsa, or the supremely intelligent person, plays the part of the ducking swan in the water of spiritual bliss, eternally decorated by the lotus flower of the Lord's feet. Very, very sort of poetic language. So, yeah, by spiritual contact, we start then having these feelings. Our, we spiritually reddened, just like conch shell. So our life becomes colored by Krishna that way. Then it says, it seems, same purport, it's actually in the verse, this particular line. It says, it seemed that the white swan was playing in the stems of the red lotus flowers. So this reminded me of a beautiful verse in the Mukunda Mala Stotram. Mukunda Mala Stotram is a compilation of beautiful verses by King Kulashekara. And the, I think 33rd verse speaks about these lotus stems. Beautiful verse. I'll recite this. Krishna Tvadeya Padapang Krishna Tvadeya Padapankaja Panjarantam Padyaiva me Vishatu Manasa Raja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kapavata Pitte Kantavaro Danavidav Smaranam Kutaste. This was one of the favorite verses of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, especially when he was sometimes on his own in his room doing things, he would chant this for himself. So, beautiful translation. Oh Lord Krishna, at this moment, let the royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stems of the lotus of your feet. So exactly what the scene in this line is saying, right? It seems like the white swan was playing the stems of the red lotus flowers. So here, beautifully explained, the royal swan of my mind enter the tangled stems of the lotus of your feet. He says, how will it be possible for me to remember you at the time of death, when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile, and air? So you see, idea being, a lot of people say, oh yes, right now I'm young, it's time for me to work and earn money and look after my family and everything. I'll do devotional service when I get older. But this is what this verse is saying. So don't wait, because when we get to that stage, we don't know what our situation will be. Prana prayana samaye, which means at the time of death. Prana prayana samaye. Vata Pitta, your throat's going to be choked up with mucus, bile, and air. In that state, how are we going to be able to remember him or even chant his names? So very, very powerful verse to give us the instruction that we should never leave things till later. Whoever we, of course, all of us, I'm speaking to the converted here, everybody here is chanting already. But when we meet our friends, when we are preaching, this is the message we're going to give them, that do not put off things. These things cannot wait. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when Prabhupada met him first time, and he got the instruction to take this message of Krishna to the spiritual world. Prabhupada at that time was involved with the freedom movement of Gandhiji. And Prabhupada said, look, we are a slave nation. Who's going to listen to us? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, this, what I'm talking about, cannot wait. And it has nothing to do with what you're talking about, because that's material. What I'm talking about is spiritual, and it cannot wait for the material situation to be sorted out, because they will never be sorted out. So similarly, we always feel that I will do this. Let me get things sorted. Let me get enough saving, and then I can do devotion service. Let me get my son settled up, then I'll do devotion service. You know that famous story of that person who Narad Muni says come back, and he says, "Oh, I'm waiting for my sons to grow up, and let them take over my business, and then the children are growing up." In the end, he becomes a snake. So we know that pastime. So like this, we should never, put off. This is something. This is emergency. Literally, we're all in emergency, and we need to get to devotion service as fast as possible. Then in the third text of today, Prabhupada says, so all the citizens of Dwarka awoke from a state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna. And they all hastened towards him just to have an audience. The devotees of the Lord know no one else as protector. So the sun, Surya, as the Lord here is described as the sun. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 22:31, the famous verse, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakar. Yaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Ra Adhikar. Krishna is compared to the sunshine, and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of the external energy, will immediately vanquish. Moving on. So there is a purport. I think time's going on. I will not read the purport. You can have a look at this. Nice purport makes that clear in the purport. This is again third text. I took it from there, from the purport. It says it's towards the end here. The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. Yet all fear is vanished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord's sound of the Lord represented by His holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So here speaking about the material world, it's full of fear. There's danger at every step. So this, again, that reminded me of this verse from chapter 10, 14, 58. Anybody know this verse? Talks about fear at every step. Famous verse. Samashritaya pada pallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare pavambudir vatsa padam param padam yat nipadam natesha. Prabhupada quotes this verse, especially the last two lines he will quote quite often. So Samashritaya pada pallava plavam. So Samashritaya, one who's taken the shelter of what? Of the pada pallava means the lotus feet, and is compared to a boat. So one who's taken the shelter of the boat of the lotus feet. Plavam means boat of the Lord. Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Mura. So that Lord who is famous, who is First of all, Mahatpadam is a shelter of the entire Mahat, meaning material energy. Punya Yasho Murare. Punya, he's famous. Yasha, who is famous as a killer of demon Murare. Bhavam so in the material world, Bhavam Budir, this sansar. Ambudir means ocean, the ocean of the material world. What's a padam? So for those people who have taken the shelter of the Lord, the feet of the Lord, the material ocean, the sansar, is like a water contained. What's a padam? Vatsa means a calf. What's a padam? So the whole ocean of material existence is like the water contained in the hoof print of a calf. So easy for the crossover. Padam padam. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. So here in the material world, padam padam, at every step, there is vipada. Vipada means distress. Natesham. For this person, they don't have that. So take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and remain there, and we can cross over this nations, just like you can jump over easily, like in a small puddle. Hare Krishna. I will stop here, devotees, and invite any comments, any questions. Anybody? They say questions. I was just reading. Recently, I was reading a verse in the 10th chapter.
Mukunda, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Chandra, Prabhu. How are you, Prabhu?
You are ever engaged in service, morning class at the manor, evening class online. Maybe something is lined up for you again somewhere else.
Krishna's mercy, whatever service Krishna gives.
You explained about Nitya Bada, Nitya Siddha, and Sadhana Siddha. And it was very encouraging, blissful to know that a person, an Atma under the Sadhana Siddha category joins Krishna in some pastime at somewhere where he's doing, and then goes back home. I thought, what a wonderful thing. You get to know the person well, and then you go back home, you are fully, with the Lord. I thought, wow, what a wonderful explanation. Thank you for brightening up our evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your encouragement, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mukunda, Hare Prabhu, wonderful class, really. I was also enjoying your class in the morning. You always explain so much nicely. Beautiful class in the morning, and here now, very, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again. Thank you for encouragement, Palika Mataji.
Hare Krishna. You always give so nice class.
Yogesh,
Thank you for a wonderful class.
thank you, Shailesh Prabhu. Thank you.
Just a clarification, Prabhu. I think the sadhana siddhas are actually pure devotees who are on their path to liberation, because they go to effectively training. So they're not, I guess not me at least, but maybe others, they're not quite our class. They are already liberated souls that are ready for liberation, that go to enjoy Krishna's pastimes directly.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly right. Maybe I didn't explain it well, but you're absolutely right. So the thing, sadhana siddhas is, as I mentioned, when we are perfect, when we have perfected our sadhana, then we are ready to go back. But rather than take us back straight there, he wants to give us like a taster. So that's why he takes us to his pastime place, so we can associate with also his associates, and that way, when we go back, we're familiar with what's going on there. But yes, that's right. So sadhana siddha actually means perfection, and perfection by sadhana, rather than eternally perfect, like that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you. Thank you for encouragement. Yogesh Prabhu, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to know what appears in is this sadhana the last one?
Yogesh,
What is it? How do you go about it? Sadhana, you associate with Lord and all that. You explained that clearly. But what is in a chronological order?
Prabhu, I didn't hear the beginning of your coffee because your sound
Sorry,
was.
what is in a chronological level? How do you go about it? Do you go to Nitya, to Nitra, then sadhana, or is Nitra the last one, or what is it?
No, so Nitya Siddha is the final. Nitya Siddha is where we want to be.
That's the last one. That's what I wanted to know. Yeah.
So your sadhana is where we are all practicing. So that is our sadhana. So when by practicing we become perfect, that becomes sadhana siddha. Sadhana siddha. So that makes us eligible to go back.
But then the Nitra is the last one.
Nitya is the final. Nitya, but once you finally go back, then you are there. You do not come back, except for again coming down. If Krishna wants you to come back to a system with his pastimes, otherwise you are eternally. But even when you do come back here, you're never bound. That's the point. The reason it's called Nitya Siddha means even whenever they come down with Krishna, they are never bound. They cannot be bound. They will always remain free, like that.
Okay, thanks, Prabhu. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, Bhagavati Mataji, thank you for your encouragement. Thank you. All right,
Thank you
devotees.
very much, Prabhu,
Thank you.
for explaining wonderfully. Yeah, sorry, I was asking questions earlier, then afterwards I forget. So I said straight away.
Yeah, no, absolutely no problem. You know, as I was about to say, questions are always good because, like I was saying, I was in the showroom a couple of weeks ago, and I was meant to give a class in the evening, Sunday evening class. So I met what's his the head, not the head Pujari, but Ananta Gopal Prabhu. Yeah, Gopal Prabhu, he met me in the showroom and we were chatting. So I said, Prabhu, I need to rush because I have to give a class. So then he said me, you know, when you make sure people ask questions at the end. And he sent me a verse actually, just as I was sitting down for my class. This verse appears in the 10th chapter, 10th canto, 1st chapter, text 16. Beautiful verse. It says, let me say if I can remember it. I memorized it. So it says, Vasudeva Prashna, yeah, Vasudeva Katha Prashna, Purushams, Trim Punatihi. So Vasudev, so questions about Krishna Katha, Purushams Trim Punatihi, which means it purifies 3 types of people. The third line goes, Vaktaram Pritchakam Shostrins, which means Vakta, which means the one who's speaking, and Pritchakam, one who's asking, and Shotrins, which everybody else who's hearing.
Listen.
So it purifies all 3. So questions are very important because it purifies all 3. And the last line says very beautifully, it says, Pada Salilam Yatha. Anybody know what Salilam means? Salilam?
It's saliva, isn't it?
No, it's not saliva. Water, yeah, it's river. River. So it says Yat Pada Salilam. So what is the river? Which river do you think that he's speaking about? Something that touched the feet.
Mother gives.
Ganga. Touching feet, exactly. So it says Yat Pada Salilam Yatha, which means just as the water coming down from Ganga purifies all the 3 worlds, like this, questions asked about Krishna Katha purify these 3 types of personalities. So questions always.
That was beautiful. Beautiful sloka. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Okay. So devotees, thank you so much.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Very nice class. Thank you, Hare Bo.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice class, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prem Kumari Mataji.